What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Anything Better podcast with your host, me, Paul Virzi, over here in New York. We got Bill Burr over there out west, and today we have an incredible guest, somebody that we're very excited to have, an amazing football player, an amazing analyst. Greg Olsen is here. Thank you so much for being on the show, bud.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, you're the first legit, like beyond legit guest we've ever had. We went from knucklehead gamblers to a professional football player analyst. I got to tell you, I love the way you call a game. And I really do believe that former players, because you played the game, your knowledge of the game, and then you can go beyond, like someone who has a broadcaster background, as you understand beyond the analytics cannot measure emotions in the game, like when to go for something, when not to, when to, I don't know. It's just something that I've noticed when I listen to you call the game. So just wanted to say that before we started.
Absolutely.
That.
Yes, I echo those sentiments because it's just something about a player that I kind of like when guys know what's going to happen. I like watching the game where they're like, oh, this play looks like this. I know some people don't like that, but I kind of like that, to be like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about, No, and that's no offense to I like guys like Mike Tirico and them, but I also like when they're like, dude, this is going to happen.
Yeah, but it's weird when it's a former player and they didn't have a good career and then they seem to know everything that was going on. It's just like, where the hell was this when you were on the field?
Well, so two different. So in the booth, two different roles, right? So the play-by-play guy, he's setting everything up. He's painting the picture. He's talking down and distance and score and remainders, and he's driving the ship in and out of commercial breaks. He's doing ad reads. He's pitching Bill Burr's new comedy special on Fox. He's managing all of those things. And then obviously as the color commentator, as the quote-unquote analyst, I believe our job is to not necessarily tell you what you're seeing. That in today's day and age, cameras, instant replay, slow-mo, it's pretty clear what's happening. There's not a shot that these guys miss. Our job is to fill in all the blanks of why are you seeing this? Why is this the right decision? What is the coach considering? When are they going to use their timeouts? How is their run defense? Why do they struggle? Paint the picture for the audience and the viewer, the why. Fill in the gaps, because I think it's very easy to say, nice throw, nice catch. Really good run. Saquon Barkley's awesome. Those are very generic things. I think a lot of people can sit home, but filling in the gaps, painting the picture behind the curtain of the why, I think that's what viewers are really interested in now. The interest and the passion of football is at its all-time highest, and I think people are much more educated than we used to give them credit for, and we need to speak to them accordingly.
Yeah, well, we all have our fantasy teams now, so we all think that we're GMs.
True. I'll tell you, fantasy football is a dangerous game, man. When I was a player, I'd have a game where we won and I'm feeling good. I might only had 3 or 4 catches, and you're in the grocery store checkout line, and a woman behind you is like, hey, good win, but I lost my fantasy because of you. And you're like, that shit's real now. That fantasy
No, it
football,
isn't. That's what you have to say. You have to say this isn't real.
In fans' minds, it is all that matters. My kids, who have 100 fantasy leagues with their friends, outside of the Panthers, who they watch as the hometown team, they only watch the game if someone from their fantasy team is in it.
That's why I never played. Because I didn't like that it went from I want this team to win to lose to now I'm just rooting for a guy to have 9 catches or whatever the hell it is. I gotta tell you, a lot of non-athlete people were really into that type of thing, and it rewards. I don't know. Nerds are running the world right now, Greg. I don't know what to tell you. The Tesla guy, the Amazon guy, the Facebook guy, analytics. That's another thing that I hate. Is when you used to make a bad choice, a decision as a coach, you had to sit there and take it. Now they can just be like, well, the analytics told me to do that. It's like, well, then couldn't I have just done that? If I just have a book that has, the answers,
you know what?
I'm an analytics guy now, Bill. I'm an analytics guy. I not blanket across the board, just put in your eyes and just go down the book, but it is the wave of the future for NFL football, and that's
Can you expound on that? When you say you're an analytics guy, it's just So all of this information of every game that's ever played, I guess, is crammed into a computer. It does the math. This is how they pick the spreads now, Paul. This is why we're getting our asses kicked. And then it spits out, like, what's the difference between you, pro football player, played it all your life, and me, jackass, looking at analytics? Like, does your pro football background give you a better, if it's just an answer, am I looking at it too simplistically?
I think there's two. I think it's a great conversation that I love to have, and we can go as deep as you want to here. There's two elements to this, right? So analytics, data acquisition, data-based decision making is happening for me as I prepare to call a broadcast. I get reams of information from all different data sites. The days of how many yards does Philly throw for, how many touchdown passes does Jalen Hurts have, how many touchdown runs does Saquon have. I have Philly this week, so they're like top of mind. Those days are over. Like, you are not studying box scores. Yards, touchdowns are completely irrelevant if you're really trying to understand what makes a team good or bad, struggling, whatever. There's so many more deep layers to it that comes from a lot of this data that's collected. Now, like anything, the data is only as good as your ability to interpret it, right? So as you start studying some of these charts and these graphs that are really getting into the weeds, we're not going to say it on the broadcast. We're not going to say the EPA per play and the yards per drop back, and we're not going to get into the real nerdy ins and outs of analytics on the broadcast, but it does shape storylines. If you want to start talking about the struggles of the Philadelphia Eagles, instead of just saying they stink, they can't score, fire everybody, well, let's really dive into why is this team different? Well, you start looking at their average first down yardage. Well, what does first down struggles do? Put you into second and pass. Are they a good downfield passing team? And you start layering in elements and you say, okay, maybe this is why the formula is broken. Let's have that conversation on air, and how do they fix it? That's a lot more interesting of a conversation than just saying, hey, they're scoring 7 less points a game. Well, why? So that's part of it. The in-game decision-making, that's the stuff that everyone is really hot on. Andy Reid the other night on Sunday night, he goes for it on 4th and 1 in a 10-10 game on his own 30-yard line, fails. Houston scores a touchdown. Those are the hot button topics that generate a ton of conversation. 4th down tries, 2-point conversions. That's really where the bulk of the quote-unquote analytics pushback comes from. And the notion that it's just a book that's a blanket, it's the same for me as it would be for you, all the context that people argue is not being taken into consideration is being taken into consideration. Again, each team has access to all of the same data points for 25 years of tracking over general times, but then their team of analysts, their team in-house, boils that down with, how is my offensive line? How is my defense? How is my quarterback? Is my running back hurt? And then you tailor make those decisions to you. Then when you get into the game, they're non-emotional decisions, right? I don't sometimes hit 16 and sometimes stay. I hit it, and I hit it, and I bust, but I still hit it. It's the same idea, right? It's the idea of taking emotion out of very critical moments in the game. And let's say, this doesn't guarantee it's the right end result, but it is the right formula of decision making that over long periods of time does tilt the game in my favor, even if it didn't tilt the game in my favor in this moment.
That's really interesting. So you still have to have like football knowledge to then dissect and analyze the analytics. I would look at that as far as like being a stand-up comedian. Some big story happens in the news, and the general, middle of the pack comedians all kind of have the same angle, but like the great ones that, I'm a fan of, they can do a topic. Like, I always feel like a great comedian can do a topic, everyone's mulched, and not only have a whole new angle, but like, it's like fresh. So it seems like it's like that. Like,
yeah, you could give me your stand. You said you have a show tonight. You could print me right now your stand-up routine, and I'll fly to California, and I could stand up on the stage and verbatim say the exact same words you say. It's not nearly as funny without your delivery, without your tone, without your mannerisms, without your timing, right? There's an art to it. It's no different than football, right? Like, there is an art behind all of this. There is an expertise. There is an instinct. But it is not a gut in the moment emotional reaction that everyone wants it to be, right? Like momentum and all the things. It's all bullshit.
Right, Greg.
But
momentum is bullshit.
Greg, the question that I have though is like, Dan Campbell is somebody I have.
We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that.
Yeah, Dan Campbell, somebody I have a problem with, because I think that whether you have the game plan and the blueprint of the game or not, in my opinion, what he did in San Francisco cost him going to the Super Bowl, in my opinion.
I called that game.
Oh, okay, yeah. Like that to me, and then to see him do it the other night 5 times and go 0 for 5 and still go. I mean, I'm sitting here going like, I mean, listen, I'm a stand-up comedian. I don't know shit. I can't coach like that guy can coach, but I'm going to take the points when I need to take the points and stay ahead either 2 possessions or 3 possessions, which he could have done in San Francisco. And then I don't like the idea of, well, that's what we did the regular season and that's what got us here. But it's like, yeah, but it's, and maybe I'm nuts, but it's like, it's not the regular season. This is to go to the Super Bowl and go get those points. To also, another thing that analytics does not take into consideration is how momentum with the crowd. Everybody knows that when a defense gets a 4th down stop at home, people are going crazy. People are losing their shit going, yeah, we stopped them. And then that's going to make the next unit come out gassed up. So I feel like guys like Dan Campbell, I don't know if he can't help himself, but I think if that doesn't change, the Lions are in trouble.
All right, so a lot to unpack there, and I love these conversations. Let's talk last week's Thursday night game, because it was Detroit versus Dallas.
Yep.
Neither team could stop anybody. It was fireworks, right? The offenses were awesome. At the end of that, towards the end of the fourth quarter, I don't know off the top of my head how much time was left, but the back half of the fourth quarter, Dallas had the ball inside the 10-yard line. It was like 4th and 3, and they were down 10 points. And they kicked a field goal to go down 7. So they made it, right? This notion that it's a 1-score game. We're so excited that it's a 1-score game. We're so motivated. The momentum is in my favor. I don't know if you guys watched the game, but do you know what happened the next possession that Detroit got the ball? So Dallas makes it 10-7. It goes from a 10-point to a 7-point. They come off the field saying, great job. We're only down 1 score. Kickoff. Detroit comes on offense. So Dallas, it has all the momentum. The game is solely there for the taking. You know what Detroit did on the next drive?
Scored.
They went the entire length of the field and went up 14. So my point of saying all of this, and there's a million examples of all of this, right? Like, I'm not suggesting that guys don't feel momentum. Emotion is still a huge element of sports, and it's a huge element of football, right? There's an energy. I'm not saying guys don't feel it. I felt it. There were games where you could throw the ball behind my head and like you're in the flow, right? I would argue it's confidence, it's a mindset, right? That's real for athletic. There's days where I'm sure you guys stand up on stage and man, it just comes out exactly the way you imagine. And I'm sure there's other days where like your timing's off and it didn't land the way and you feel uncomfortable. But in a game like football, those feelings are real. I'm not discounting how guys on the sideline in their brain imagine. All I'm saying is it doesn't impact the game. You feeling moment, right? Like how many times have we heard on a broadcast, this team has all the momentum and then they go 3 and out? Or this team just got all the momentum and they fumble, right?
I feel like it doesn't I feel like all of a sudden the wheels fall off and everybody just.
But then they get them back on.
But I don't see the game the way you do.
Yeah, I mean, the game that spurred a lot of conversation from a couple weeks ago was Philly versus Chicago. Mm-hmm. And it was the whole thing about going for 2, and they were down 15, and I'm not going to get into all of that. But that game, Philly, at the end of the game, when Sirianni went for 2 to try to make it, to cut the lead, they were down 15, he tried to make it 7. He went for 2 and failed. It stayed at 9. They just went on an 85-yard touchdown drive. Who has all the momentum?
Well, if you missed the 2-point conversion, the other team does.
But you just scored the touchdown, so who had the momentum? After the 82-yard touchdown drive, who had the momentum?
The Eagles did until they went for the stupid 2-point conversion,
so
and then they missed it, and then the other fans get excited.
It's irrelevant. All I'm saying is...
Feels like math class.
No, it's not math. It's the argument of the argument is the game takes ebbs and flows naturally, regardless of how you feel.
Greg, I feel like you could be, honestly, I feel like you could be and should be an NFL head coach because you just have that demeanor. But I got to ask you a question real quick, and I know fans are going to
want to talk about Dan Campbell, though. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. The one thing I wanted to ask you, though, when you're calling a game and you see a call that is just so egregiously wrong, are you guys kind of told, like, hey, you could mention it, but don't go so hard with it? Or do you have free reign to be like, that's the worst thing I've ever seen?
I've never gotten a call from Fox in 5 years ever telling me to tone down my evaluation, my assessment, good, bad, referees, coaches. Now, I will say, my personality and just who I am not like a shit on people guy. Quarterback's having a bad day. I got to say, hey, that's a throw you got to make. He's late with his eyes, his feet, whatever. You have to be honest or else you lose the trust of the audience that you can have perspective, right?
Sure.
Coaches, decisions. I always say, like, you could be critical of decisions. You don't like the decision? Great. Everyone has their opinion. You don't like, he's late with his footwork. He drops a ball, bad, whatever it is. Those are totally fair criticisms. As long as you don't get personal, right? Like, that's my one rule is, like, there's no personal attacks, right? You're not lazy. You're not a dog. You're not these guys are high-level professional athletes, and they deserve to be spoken about in a certain sense. Same thing with the referees. Because there's bad calls made all the time. I don't envy the position of NFL referees. I think NFL officiating is actually better than it's ever been. I think as a viewer, we have insight and access to views and pictures and replays and angles that didn't exist 10 years ago, let alone 20 years ago. So this idea that more calls are missed, I would argue the game has gotten so complicated, so fast, so just the notion that these guys can get anything right, I feel like is pretty impressive. And I think the calls are no different. We just didn't know if the guy false started by half of a millisecond because the camera didn't pick it up 10 years ago. We didn't know if that guy's face mask grabbed his jersey collar or his pinky grabbed the face mask because now we have like 9D zoom in extra. It's just a different experience for the viewer right now, and we have more information than ever before.
All right, I got one for you real quick before you do Dan Campbell. My opinion on the two-point conversion that drives me nuts is the team goes, is first and goal, don't get it. Second and goal, don't get it. Third and goal, don't get it. Go for it on fourth down, score a touchdown. And then everybody goes, go for two. It's like, because it's only 2 points, people aren't looking like, dude, you have to score another touchdown to only get 2. And it just took you 4 downs. They stopped you 3 times. It took you 4 times to get that ball across the goal line. Now you're looking at, because it's only a 2-point conversion, you have to score back-to-back touchdowns is what a 2-point conversion is, but you only get 6 points for the touchdown, 2 points for, so people look at it like they equate the amount of points to the difficulty of it. And I feel like in the first quarter, why are you going for 2 points? Just get the extra point. And the amount of times that they missed 2 2-point conversions and then hit the third one, it's like you could have just kicked 3 extra points, or you could have just kicked 2 extra points. You'd end up where you would have been. I think the 2-point conversion is overrated.
Well, two-point conversions have really become a end of game strategy, possessions, trying to chip back, typically for teams either trying to extend leads to 2-score games or cut into a deficit, right? We don't see a ton of teams in the early first 3 quarters of the game. There was a time years ago where guys were toying with it. Pittsburgh started doing it. Everyone, for the most part now, is kicking extra points. The only time you'll see an early 2-point try is we actually had it in our Buffalo Bengals game. Josh Allen threw a 4th down touchdown pass. He got roughed, like they caught it. He got personal fouled. They elected to have the penalty enforced on the point after try, which now instead of going for 2 from the 2, you go from 2 from the 1-yard line. 9 out of 10 times, every NFL coach is going to say, from the 1-yard line, I'll take my odds of getting 1 yard to get 2 points as opposed to kicking a chip shot field goal. Outside of that, typically 2-point conversions are coming at the end of the game, like it did in the Bears-Philly game, where you're down 15, you're down 14, and the idea is to try to win the game in regulation, maximize your possessions. That's a longer conversation. But that's typically, right now, the NFL average on 2-point conversions is about 45%. It ranges any given year, 43, maybe to 48. It is less than a coin flip to get a 2-point try. Because remember, if it was 52%, I mean, you guys are gamblers, and we all, you play the odds over long periods of time. If it was 50, if people could figure out how to make a 2-point try over 50%,
forget it.
They would do it every time.
Then I learned. I think I just watched the game emotionally because I feel like everybody's going
that's the key word.
For 2 points in the third quarter, and I'm calling him up, going, "What the fuck are they doing? Kick the goddamn John Madden, take the points." Yeah, I must be.
So
wait a minute.
Emotion.
I think it's my usual problem, Paul. I'm too emotional.
Bill, you emotional? No.
Remember, emotion drives all of this. And it's real. I'm emotional. Like when I'm coaching a game or playing in a game, I am highly emotional. I am a very intense, competitive, emotional person, whether I'm coaching my daughter's basketball team or I'm playing in the Super Bowl. Like that's just my personality. So I don't shit on people being emotional. I believe people that don't have a fire and don't have that, I don't relate. I can't process how those people operate, and everyone to each their own. That's not me personally. So this whole embracing this non-emotional decision-making is me taking a step back and saying, okay, if I was an NFL head coach, knowing how I would be on an NFL sideline, which is highly intense, high feedback frequency, a lot of energy, a lot of emotion, do I want to make critical decisions in that mindset? Us all sitting here nice and calm, we'd say, of course you don't want to.
Interesting.
You don't want to make Dan Campbell is a very emotional person. He's a very heart on his sleeve. That's why the guys love him, because he's so real, right? He doesn't hide behind this like fake bullshit facade.
Right.
So he's saying to myself, do I want to make these rash emotional decisions based on how I feel? No, that's not in the team's best interest. He has made a clear moment from the time he took that job. They're going to play a very clear brand of football. He was an early adopter of this mentality. They have won as many, if not more, games than virtually the entire league, maybe with the exception of Kansas City and Philly over the last couple of years. It has been a highly productive mentality. It bit him in the ass in the playoffs that year. I called that game. I was in the booth talking over those fourth down failures. He stood up at the podium virtually in tears, and he ate it. And he stood up there with us. And emotion is why people don't do it. Because I don't want to stand up on the post-game podium and say, you're the reason, Greg Olsen, we lost. It's easier for me as the coach to say, we should have made the kick. We need to play better defense. We didn't execute. It wasn't our day. All this bullshit, instead of I'm the head coach and that decision, yeah, it didn't work, but I would do it again. That is very hard to do, but I commend the guys that do it.
I get that, but if this is football-wise, forget emotion. If he kicks the field goal to go up 17 instead of go for it there and keep it a 14-point game, and then San Francisco came down and then made it a 7-point game, if he still keeps it a 3-point thing, a 3-possession thing, isn't that just mathematically their chances of winning that game better?
You also just made the assumption that they're automatically going to make the kick. I mean, it was like, I'm not saying.
One was from like the 28, wasn't it? Or the 30?
I'd have to go back and pull up I know there was 3 of them. There was 3 critical fourth downs. 2 were dropped, and I don't remember the other one. Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you what the yard line was or what the score was. I wish I could. I just can't. I don't know exactly. But of course, I remember the moments of the game really well. But the notion that I'm going to play one style of football and then I'm going to just arbitrarily, I always think the best that people can relate it to is everybody has sat at a blackjack table. Right? And I know this is probably oversimplifying it because football is not just a deck of cards already predetermined. So there is some nuance to football, and I'm not suggesting otherwise. But just from an emotional standpoint, we've all had 10 up on the dealer face card, and in your mind, you know it's 20, and you got fucking 16. And it takes every ounce of commitment and consistency to keep taking that card. And then he flips over and he had a 5, and he flipped, right? And now you're just guessing. Right? Yeah. So you all of a sudden now just put everything to luck. And listen, we've all sat at the table where the asshole stays on 16 and he wins. Does it mean it was the right decision? We all know it's not.
I've always been intimidated to go to a blackjack table because I don't know the rules. And it's just like, you feel, everybody, you're taking my cards. What are you doing? And blah, 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 and all of this. None of any of it watching makes sense. Like, I'm not taking your cards. They're not yours. You don't know. No, we don't know what card is coming. You should have said it, then I would have got that card. All of that.
But why do we say it? But Bill, why do we feel? We feel that.
It's emotion.
We feel that emotion. We feel like the deck is flipped. We feel like you screwed me because you didn't split your 8s or whatever. But you're arguing it's not. You're arguing it's bullshit, and I'm saying I agree with you.
No, I'm saying I like, how do you learn how to play blackjack? You sit down and there's like 4 degenerates next to you just puffing and puffing about everything you're doing. It's just like, didn't you ever not know what you were doing? So I
anyway.
I stay away from that shit. I always play the craps. I like crap table.
The reality is, in today's modern NFL, this is the last point I'll make about it. We can talk about whatever you guys want.
Yeah, then we got to get into your youth sports thing.
I can talk about this all day. The reality, more often than not, again, there's always outliers to everything. There is a game where I could kick 5 field goals and beat you 15-10, and me taking the points, which that phrase drives me insane. Taking the points, it worked out for me, right? You could say it about the other night's game, the Monday night game. The Chargers scored 1 touchdown on the opening possession of the game. They scored a touchdown against Philly. And they proceeded to kick nothing but field goals the entire rest of the game. And they won in overtime. So they took the points and they won. They won because that Jalen Hurts threw 4 interceptions.
Yeah.
So when you make these decisions, you have to make these decisions based off what I call like neutral possession games. I cannot game plan that I'm going to return a punt for a touchdown. I cannot game plan and say I'm going to get a strip sack fumble return for a touch. You can't prepare the game strategy like all these one-offs are going to happen. If they do, great, and I will adjust accordingly as the game unfolds. That's the job of a great head coach, is to evaluate the moments of the game as they happen. But I can't plan that Jalen Hurts is going to throw 4 picks. He threw 3 picks over 12 games.
Yeah. That's the difference between coaching and gambling.
Correct.
Because that's what we do. He's going to throw a pick.
So, like,
I'm throwing a special teams touchdown here, Paul. What about
I got a feeling.
So that's where so the general rule of thumb is field goals are going to get you beat. Now, does that mean it's always going to get you beat? Of course not. There's no certainties in any of this. If people had certainties, no one would ever lose.
I would love to hear what Adam Vinatieri thinks about field goals are going to lose you.
Yeah.
The guy's
50-yard field goals are great.
Rings. He's got 4 rings.
Nope. Here's where field goals matter. End of game, end of half, 4th and long, and 45 yards plus.
See, I agree with that 100%. But and listen, I'm all for going for 4th and 1 or 4th and 1.5. But when these guys are going 4th and 4 and it's a 40-yarder, that's what I'm saying too. Like, I'm looking at like more yardage. So what do you consider, like, if you see a coach, Greg, if you see a coach go for it on 4th and 5 and it would be a 47-yarder, do you think that that's a silly move if it's not those situations you just mentioned?
Again, how much time? There's so many factors, right? How much time's remaining? Am I winning or losing? Does this make it now? If I'm up 8 and there's 3.5 minutes to go, of course I'm going to kick the field goal. I'm going to go up 11, and with 2.5 minutes, barring you recovering an onside kick, you're not going to have enough possessions to beat me, right? So there's a math in all of this where it comes down to how many times most likely will you possess the ball, and in those possessions, do you have enough to catch me? If I don't think you have 2 possessions left, being up 2 possessions is great. Going up 2 possessions with 9.5 minutes to go is much different than going up 2 possessions with 2 minutes to go.
Right.
Because you just virtually don't have the amount of time. So there's a lot of elements to this. If I was goal to go situation, unless it was end of half, game winner. 4th and goal, am I kicking a field goal?
Okay.
Because now, again, I have 4th and goal from the 5-yard line, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't get it. You now possess the ball on your 5-yard line.
Right.
If I have the ball on the 5-yard line, I'm trying to get a touchdown. That's ultimately the greatest part of all of this. But let's say I kick a field goal. I got 3 points, and you now get the ball at the 35-yard line. So for me getting 3 points, I gave you 30 yards. From the 5 to, let's call it the 35 with the new kickoff rule. You got 30 yards for doing nothing.
Yeah.
I hate how wrong I was about all of this.
Again, it's not wrong. It's not right or wrong. Remember, this new kickoff
No, this
rule
all
is brand
makes
new.
sense.
No, it's
Remember
great.
the kickoff rule. Remember the kickoff rule is brand new. Teams are still trying to figure out how to kick it, where to kick it, how to
They won't
cover
kick it out of the end zone now. Everybody does like a little pooch kick.
Well, because you kick it into the end zone, you give your opponent the ball at the 35-yard
Yeah.
line. You get
Why
one and
is
a
it the
half.
35?
'Cause they want it-
sells the fucking game. This is what drives me nuts. There's no like monsters of the midway anymore. It's like nobody can stop anybody. I remember a few years ago, I'm going to go on a fucking rant here. That fucking Bills-Chiefs game was one of the worst fucking games I've ever seen in my life. It was like 57-56. Everybody's up and down the fucking field. And there wasn't one tackle in the whole
13
game.
seconds left.
It's like, what am I watching? This is like a fucking video game. And my feeling is that they've reached maximum density on the fucking real football fan, the casual fan they got. Taylor Swift, they got to get her to the Super Bowl so all the Swifties are watching. Then they call off the dogs and they let them play, and you get a shit game, right? I mean, I just feel like all of these, like the hockey, they get rid of the red line, the stupid stretch pass. You want to sit behind the goaltender now because you're doing this like you're at Wimbledon. I don't know. I just feel like every game now they're trying to like juice up the ball, make the stadium smaller, try to like, I mean, plenty of time. There's plenty of time left. You're like, what the fuck are they talking about? This game is over. And then there's like 3 more scores. I just feel like it's marketing.
That's what they want.
I feel like the prevent defense was invented not by coaches. It was invented in the marketing department of the NFL to make sure no fucking game is over. It drives me insane. It drives me insane. Like I can't.
You should get season tickets to the Houston Texans. You would love them.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Their
Texans,
defense is
I love.
nasty.
Dude, their defense is unbelievable.
Their defense is unbelievable.
Seattle,
I feel like they're
Seattle.
playing Belichick ball. Win 17-10, 19-17. They're playing like that. I love how they're playing. I like to see great offense. I also want to see great defense. I just, this up and down, and everybody turns into Joe Montana. You got some scrub coming off the sideline running the 2-minute offense like he's fucking John Elway. It's stupid. It's not. There's something. Whatever. I don't know.
Well, listen.
People started doing this.
Hey,
Greg.
here's
In
the
fucking
experiment.
gym, everybody turns into to a Hall of Fame quarterback with 2 minutes left.
All right, we're gonna do an experiment, Bill. I'm gonna get you, and you're gonna come do a game with me in the booth, and it's gonna be 10-7 it's gonna be 13-6 in the fourth quarter, and I'm gonna be holding you from jumping out of the window if you got to talk over that for 3 hours. There's a lot more. I'm just talking about from a broadcast perspective.
All right, I'm not gonna ask you to go any further into that. That is the rain delay of football, 13-7.
Well, let's tell Greg the real reason why he's here. Greg, the real reason why he's here is because I need you to coach the Giants. I'm a diehard Giants fan. Let's get you to New York. Come on, man. Listen. You have Dart. You'll have a healthy Neighbors. You'll have a healthy Scatterboo. You got a nice defensive line. We'll draft you got a maybe first round pick. You draft a defensive back. You got a good team there, Greg.
You want to hear a great story?
Yes.
So a couple of years ago, the hiring cycle where they hired Dable. This was probably like a week or two before they officially announced that they hired Daboll. My wife and I are in New York City, and we're having dinner at the Polo Bar. and we're sitting in the basement there. It's an awesome spot in New York, and we're with two of our friends, and we're having a nice dinner. And there was a couple next to us, and you're having drinks and we're having fun, and we're living, we're having a good off-season dinner. You know what I'm saying? And over the course of the dinner, we start talking to this couple next to us. It turns out it's Tish, the owner of the Giants.
Yeah.
So I've probably had a couple old fashions, and we start out just like, how's the hiring going? And we start like getting like a nice conversation about the process of hiring a head coach. Well, like an hour and a half goes by. I don't know. I guess I had a couple more old fashions in me by the end. And next thing you know, I went on like a 20-minute like job interview.
That's fucking.
And I'm literally sitting 3 feet from him in this restaurant, and I'm getting like this. I'm like getting progressively more like emotional and like excited.
God.
And I'm like selling this idea that he should hire me because we sat next to each other in the Polo Bar. So long story short, the next morning I wake up and my wife's like, and I was like, Kara, did I pitch myself to the owner of the Giants? She's like, yeah. I was like, do you think he bought it? Like, how did I do? So in my mind, I've interviewed for one head coaching job unofficially. I didn't get it, but it was with the Giants.
That's
well, look, the next one you do, you'll be sober. You know what I mean?
Maybe I'll get it.
Dude,
yeah, instead of being half in the bag. Hey, Paul, we're going to run out of time here. Let's make sure I want to talk to you about something that I'm getting into because my kids are like starting to play organized sports and everything.
Yes, please talk about this.
And there's a part of me maybe wants to coach a little bit, but I'm like, what do I know? Obviously, I've learned I don't know anything listening to you, but I know like that youth sports is a huge thing for you, and that was one of the things that you wanted to talk about, the whole Youth Inc. If you're wondering why he's wearing the merch and he's got the flag above him, tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, it's a project that we're really excited about. I've been out there having conversations with people via podcasts and different outlets for the last couple years on our Youth Inc. program, and interviewing coaches and athletes and Olympians and parents, just everyone about the good, the bad, the in-between of the youth sports landscape. And really what started was, my dad was my high school football coach, prototypical old school discipline high school football vibe for 30 years in New Jersey, coached me and my brothers. So I grew up in locker rooms, grew up around it, and now full circle after making a living, I'm raising 3 kids, 2 boys and a daughter. My wife and I would lay in bed at night, we'd be at dinner with friends, and the entire conversation was about youth sports. A great story. What team is your kid on? Are you doing lessons? This guy in the gym, what the coach is doing. It would dominate everything we did. And I was like, you know what? If we don't have the answers for any of this shit, who does? I've lived my entire life in this world, and I don't even understand what's going on now. Let's go out and have these conversations. So from there, it's grown into an entire platform, multi-content contributors, all sports, men's, women's, high level, just all across the board. There's content, there's information. We're doing like a mini doc of, we got some guys going around that are like crashing practice at baseball teams, some 2 really cool social media influence guys. So it's a really cool, there's a commerce engine behind it for teams to like customize gear and schools and whatnot. So it's a really fun project. But Bill, I'm just going to call it right now. You're going to say you're going to be the calm parent. I'm going to sit by myself and I'm going to clap. You're not going to do it.
No.
You can't.
No.
No, I was telling him earlier.
It's impossible.
No, dude.
Well, I was at a practice. No, my daughter's she had a game, and I yelled out, "Don't be afraid to hurt someone."
Oh no, dude.
She was playing like she's a little bigger than the other kids, so. Yeah. And then I was like, I just said that out loud, and I'm gonna get sued or something like that.
I coached Sophia's 5th grade basketball team, and in the championship game, the ref kid who was a senior in high school, his sister was against us. And when they beat us by 2, I go, "You guys wanted to fix it, huh?" And I meant it, dude. I sounded like a lunatic. I go, "You can't do that. That's his sister." And my wife is like, "Let's get out of here." So it's nuts.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things like in the heat of the moment, like you're not allowed to bring it up the next day. Like what's said is, and then we all get to like move on because it does sound crazy. And I'm the first one to raise my hand. Like I feel like I've gotten better. I still have a lot of room for improvement. I'm like the most honest, like self-assessor in this world. Like
You can't shut it off, man. You can't shut it off.
I can't. Like, I am a highly competitive, again, to your point, I am a highly emotional, competitive. I want to see kids play hard. I don't even care about the winning and losing. Like, I've walked out of gyms of teams that I've coached or fields that I've coached and we've lost. And I'd be like, you know what? Actually, they were better than us, but I actually thought we played pretty good. I'm fine.
Yeah.
And then I've walked out of gyms and fields where we've won by 30 and I like can't sleep. Like, I am all about develop the kids. Yeah. Get them better. If the environment is getting them better in middle school and elementary school, you should stay on that team and stay with that coach, or if you're the coach, you're doing a great job. That is all that matters. High school, wins and losses matter. Don't get me wrong. Like, we're not doing this shit for a hobby. Like, we're trying to win. But the development piece has gotten so bad that I sit there and I just like jump out of my skin. And that's why I end up trying to just volunteer to coach as many teams as they'll let me. Because I'm like, I'm not saying I'm great, but I'm going to bust my ass to get your daughter better, your son better, your daughter, whatever it is, they will get better.
When you say the development piece, what are you talking about? Pre-high school and getting your fundamentals down and that type of thing?
Everything about the youth sports journey has completely flipped from developing skills, both emotional skills, physical skills, overall just like gross motor skills, running, jumping, big, strong, fast, the individual skills relative to the sport, field hockey, lacrosse, baseball, football, they all have very different fine motor skills that are, important to the thing. All of that skill development, emotionally and physical, is the entire reason everyone should do youth sports for their kids. If your kid by a sophomore year in high school is a gifted athlete and your daughter's a great basketball player and your son's a great hockey, whatever, you'll know it. And now we got to get serious. And now it's time to like really hunker in and like we got to go and we're taking blood, right? Like we're playing for blood now and we're ripping. Yeah. When they're in 6th grade, like I need to teach my daughter how to play basketball. I need to teach my son how to pitch or how to hit or how to field a ground ball. Like we need to focus on the development. And what happens is, myself included, you get so caught up in the winning. And the argument is I could get better players and then the end result will be I'll win more and everyone feels like you're a better coach and the team's gotten better. But what's lost in all of that is if you focus on development, the grind, practice, communication skills, consistent messaging, and you do all those things right, you will, as a byproduct, win a lot of games. But that is a much more difficult path for a parent. It's a much more difficult path for a coach, but it is the best path for the kid. That has completely flipped upside down across the spectrum. Travel ball, guest playing, kids flying in from all over the
travel teams, man. There's kids, my daughter's age, they're on travel teams, and I'm like, you got a road game at 8 years old? I mean, this is insane.
I've done it.
I don't know. I'm sort of viewing the whole thing as like, they're gonna go out there, they're gonna have fun. Look, they have my genes, all right? I'm a stand-up comedian. I don't think I'm gonna make an MLB baseball. I mean, if all of a sudden, I don't know, something from way back in the past gets into my kid's DNA and all of a sudden I'm obviously going to support it. But like my thing is I played sports. I had fun. It was fun. And I go there now. It's just like, dude, the equipment, everybody with all the different cleats and all of the shit and the bats and all of this stuff. It was just like, whatever happened, just like dirty baseballs and like these bats that were like 30 years old. It's the crap
those days are over.
Yeah, like the grip would be worn out on like the aluminum bats from all of these years. And like, now if you had 2 batting gloves, you were a rich kid when I was a kid.
Especially if they were the same color. One's red and one's white, Here's the thing. We coach our kids, my 2 sons, we coached their middle school football team the last couple of years at our school. And no one's ever going to say, oh, they don't care about winning. We do care about winning. We are very honest with our families. Like, we aren't giving up our whole summer. We are not giving up all this time and energy that we're going to pour into these kids to not get the end result that everybody wants. The difference in our approach, and we win a lot, the difference in our approach is we are going to pour into these kids for 6 months. every day, summer workouts, weight training, speed and conditioning, all summer. We're
How
up
to
at
talk to the press.
How to talk to the press. Don't listen. Yeah. But like there is an art though to like teaching these kids the art of work, the art of hard, the art of grind. And if you do that every day, as cliche as that sounds, all of a sudden Wednesday afternoon and the whole school's sitting in the bleachers watching us play a middle school football game, and we rip and we're throwing touchdowns, we're running for touchdowns, we're knocking kids' helmets off, like we're playing real football. Everyone's like, oh my God, this is so fun. I'm like, yeah, but we started doing this 4 months ago at 8 a.m. while you were at the beach. Like, this shit's hard.
Yeah,
the game is fun.
When it wasn't fun. I also think the great thing about sports, for the cliche stuff, learning how to lose, winning and losing, and how to take a loss.
I'm a terrible loser.
But like taking responsibility, understanding that, if I want the ball the whole time, that's hurting the team. I hate, like, that's something else that's driven me nuts, like watching sports, how certain sports, like, really, like, people, like, just like, this is my team. I'm not going to get into, but people walking off the courts during losses and shit. You did that when I was a kid. You were a bad teammate and it wasn't rewarded. Yeah. And I feel, I don't know. I'm a bit of a grumpy old man, but we do have to get onto the picks.
Yeah, we got to get up. Yeah,
I do have something at 11.
I was just going to say,
but real quick, you think, what is the website? It's something that parents can go on to and get this information. Let's make sure we people know where they can go for that.
Yeah, it's youth.inc, and the platform, the commerce, the content engine, it's all there on one simple site. And appreciate you guys giving me a chance to chat about it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna check that out. My daughter is like crazy into sports, as is my son. This is my proudest moment so far with my son. Is I was throwing overhand to my daughter, and he came up and I underhanded the ball. He didn't swing at it, and he goes, "Dad, don't throw it like that. Throw it like this." And he threw it at me like really hard. So I said, "All right," and I threw one overhanded, and he crushed it.
Nice.
So, of course, in my head,
no greater feeling.
He's already going to the MLB.
He's Aaron Judge. It's
exactly.
Done. Get him a private coach. A private coach.
Yeah, but it's fun. All right, are you gonna?
We're gonna do the picks now. Here's how this works. So with anything better, Greg, what we do is Bill and I. And our producers too, and our injury guy, we all do it. But Bill and I do picks. We do 4 games each against the spread. This is our 5th year. I beat the book 4 years in a row, and I am getting the shit kicked out of me this year. Bill is hovering right around 500. I did go 3-1 this week. Shador Sanders and the Browns were the only game that screwed me. But Bill, it is an odd week. Oh, before we do it though, we have to shout out the sponsor, guys. It's BetMGM. You guys know it's the best odds out there. Here's how it works: you download the BetMGM app to your device. You put as little as $10 in your wager. If you lose the wager, you will get $1,500 in bonus bets. Please bet responsibly. And we also have the first touchdown promo. You pick any player in any NFL game to get the first touchdown of that game. If they do, you win. If they don't, but in fact get the second touchdown, you'll get your cash back. So there you go, Bill. This is an odd week. Okay. So that means you go first on an odd week, and there you go. The floor is yours.
All right, I'm going to wade right into the deep water because up until like the last couple of weeks, I didn't know who was good this year. You know what I mean? So
it's a weird year.
The Patriots have already beaten the Bills. It was a shocker when they did. The Bills are like reeling. I just can't believe that they're not a good team. I really have a difficult time with thinking that we're going to beat them twice. It always feels like when a team is, division rivalries, they're going to get you with one. So we already beat them. Now they're coming in. That's how I look at it, Greg. There's no analytics. Hey, there's no knowledge or whatever.
Right or wrong.
But I just feel like this is a pick'em game. And I just feel that Mike Vrabel, where he has this team, we had major problems, fumbling, turning over the ball, that, knock on wood, that has gone away. And I just think that this team is getting tighter and tighter and tighter every week. Everybody's doing their job. I know the Bills need a win. I know this is huge, but I'm actually going to take the Patriots getting 1 point at home because I think it's going to come down to the more disciplined team. And I just feel the Patriots are everybody's doing their job.
All right. Well,
see that, Greg? I can sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Great. No, it's a reasonable argument.
Well, I'm going to do something that Look, I think the Miami Dolphins, what they're doing is pretty nuts considering McDaniel was going to get fired, and they've rattled off these wins. The Steelers are up and down. I'm not saying the Steelers are going to lose, but it's that half a point. It's the 3.5. So I'm going to take the Dolphins getting 3.5 on the road Monday Night Football against the Steelers. I just feel like they're clicking, and I feel like they're going to actually win the game outright, but I like the 3.5 points. So I'm going to take Miami on Monday night.
I'm actually going the exact opposite. I'm taking the Steelers because I think the Dolphins have been playing some really shit teams and padding some wins. And everybody's looking at them like all of a sudden they figured something out. I don't know. I think Aaron Rodgers, the level of competitor that he is, I don't think he wants to go out, not winning. And I think they had a big win last week. And I think, I don't know. I think they got a little mojo going there in Pittsburgh. I'm taking the Steelers, Paul. We're going head to head there.
All right. I like it. I am going to take the Denver Broncos at home. I'm going to take the Denver Broncos at home against the Packers, getting 2.5. Andrew, that's right. The Denver's getting 2.5. Oh, wait a minute. Bill, how dare us? We forgot to bring in Jake for the injury report. Jake, get in here.
This is how awkward it is every week, Greg. There's just massive chunks of silence.
Hey, how you doing?
Jake the Snake.
What do you got, dude?
Hey, well, just before we got on, the Schefter tweeted out that Jaden Daniels will be out against the Giants. So that's a big loss there. He re-injured his elbow against the Vikings. Two big defensive injuries. We saw Jalen Carter have shoulder surgery, so he's going to be out again. He's a really big player for the Eagles. And then the Lions lost their best safety, Brian Branch. And then, Greg, I had a question for you since we were talking about injuries here. We were talking about this a little bit before we got on, but Daniel Jones obviously out for the year with a torn Achilles, so they're going to bring in Phillip Rivers, 44-year-old Phillip Rivers. And then the other quarterback that's out for the year is Kyler Murray. So they're both free agents this summer. Who do you think is more likely to re-sign with their team, or do you think they're both moving on?
Yeah, I think you're in the difference between Indianapolis and Arizona is, a couple weeks ago they at the trade deadline. Indianapolis felt obviously very good, as they should, about Daniel Jones and their season. You're thinking you're going to be a playoff team. There was a time they were the number one seed in the AFC. You're thinking, all right, we win a couple playoff games. We're trading around. They traded a first-round pick for Sauce Gardner, but at the time, you're thinking you're going to make a deep run, and we'll give a first-round pick, but it's going to be at the end of the first round, not as valuable. Well, now all hell breaks loose. You lose Daniel Jones. We'll see how the season finishes with Phillip Rivers or Riley Leonard or whoever ends up playing quarterback. But if they lose too many games, God forbid, don't make the playoffs, all of a sudden what they thought was going to be an end of first round pick now turns into a middle of the first round pick, albeit Sauce Gardner's a good player. If you need a quarterback and the plan is to draft a guy in the draft, maybe not a great quarterback draft, especially if you're not picking at the top. So they're in a little bit of an interesting scenario. We'll see how it all works out based on how they do in the playoffs. But I love Daniel Jones. I was a Daniel Jones guy when he was in the Giants. I thought he got a lot of negative flack for a guy who did a lot of things really well. He's big, he's strong, he's athletic. He was playing as well as anybody in the league until he broke his leg, showed his toughness by playing on a broken leg, and obviously compensated and unfortunately ruptured his Achilles, which is devastating.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked to see. I guess to answer your question is, I think Indianapolis is much more likely to re-sign Daniel Jones. Kyler Murray, I cannot imagine, is back in Arizona.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, that being said, I'm going to take the Broncos at home against the Packers. I watched the Broncos, and I think they're really good, man. I think they're really good. I mean, listen, nothing.
Had a really interesting end of the game last week.
What's that?
That whole delay a game and let's kick a field goal for no friggin' reason.
Yeah.
Paul, it's Pete Carroll. It's all.
Oh,
it's all above board. It's all above board.
And then the week before, Washington went for 2 to beat them, didn't they?
Oh, did they?
Yeah, that was against Denver.
And they tipped the ball down. That was against Denver, wasn't it?
Listen, there was a reason for a long time they did not want to have any professional teams in Las Vegas. And this is before professional sports gambling took over the whole damn league. All right, so Paul, you going Broncos?
I'm going Broncos getting 2.5 at home against Green Bay.
All right, I'm taking the Chiefs getting 4.5 at home. I always feel those games come down. Chiefs games always come down to a couple of points. They need a win like nobody's business. The Chargers already beat them this year. Division rivalry. Those games are always close. 3.5, I still would have taken the Chiefs. 4.5, I'll take that extra point. I'm taking the Chiefs, Paul. Not watching the game. Not watching the game, though.
All right. Well, I'm going to take my. What's up, buddy?
What is
I was going to ask, since we were talking about the Chiefs, what do you think is the biggest problem with the Chiefs so far? Like, what's been the reason they're not in the playoffs as of right now?
I think fans all last year, there was just too many of us saying that they were getting all the calls and this was manufactured stuff to get Taylor Swift there. And then they got Taylor Swift to the Super Bowl, and then they called the dogs off and they got exposed.
All right.
Greg, you don't have to weigh in.
Yeah,
definitely. That's definitely.
No surprise here. I'm going to take, and I'm going to take
Bill,
New York.
Bill, just for the record, Chiefs are giving 4.5. Just want to make that clear.
Oh shit, my fault. Wait.
Yeah, the Chiefs are favored.
The Chiefs are favored 4.5.
Jesus Christ! All right, fuck that game. Sorry. All right, I'm gonna do a stupid bet here because I'm an old dad. Philip Rivers got 10 kids, 13.5 points. I'm just sniffing a backdoor cover here, Paul.
All right,
I feel like
that.
Seahawks are going to be up by like 19, and then they're going to go try to run out the clock, and Philip's going to, little Grecian formula in the beard. It's going to go down backdoor cover.
Philip Rivers going to walk out there like John Wayne and get that to make sure that they get those 13.5. I love that.
All right.
I'm going to take my New York Football Giants. Look, Jackson Dart's got a swag to him that I really like. Jaden Daniels not playing for the Commanders. And I think the Giants, I just can't see them not getting another win this year. So I think that this is the win that they're going to get. And it's -2.5. They win by a field goal. Who knows who the kicker is going to be. But I'm going to take my Giants against the beat-up Commanders with the backup quarterback.
All right, this is my last one. Why are the Vikings getting 6 points in Dallas?
That is a strange spread. I don't know the answer. It feels like, they always try to juice up the Cowboys, try and get people to bet it either way. But, I mean, there's not a ton of injuries either way.
All right, I'll be the idiot, and I'll take the Vikings because I feel like that's what Vegas wants me to do. I'll take the Vikings.
Who's favored?
The
Cowboys.
Vikings are getting 6 points going into Dallas.
Oh, the Cowboys are favored over the Vikings.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
All right.
6? I don't know. You can't comment on this.
I don't know. I don't know enough about gambling. I'm having a hard time.
I think you
keeping
know
up
a
with
little
giving
bit.
and taking. I play more blackjack.
All right. For my last pick, I am going to take Dan.
Am I staying on 16 with that?
No.
All right, go ahead.
I'm gonna take Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions. They are getting 5.5 points from the Rams. Again, I could see the Rams pulling that out, but I kind of like the Lions getting 5.5. I just think that they're going to fight this week. I think they need to fight this week, so I like the points with the Lions.
Didn't Jake say their best safety's out?
He is, but
Branch.
Paul is right. The Lions do need to win this game at 85. They got to keep up in the wild card.
All right, let's knock out the Monday night special.
Think how much easier it'll be for them to cover if they get a bunch of those fourth downs, though.
Exactly.
Yeah, Dan Campbell does not press the punter.
All I know is here, I'm just going to say this right now. If Dan Campbell goes for a late fourth down, and it's the difference between you winning what you bet, you have to come back on next Monday and take back everything bad you said against them. Is that a deal?
That's a deal.
Mark it.
Okay.
It.
All right. We got the Monday night special now where we don't
want a half-ass apology either, Paul. I want a written statement.
Yes.
And actually, Greg could be part of the Monday night special, or at least nod his head with some things. So what we do on the Monday night special is collectively as a show, we pick 3 things that are going to happen in the game, whether it's the spread, who's going to catch a touchdown, who's going to throw one. We do 3 things. And this week's Monday Night Football, we have the Miami Dolphins going in to Pittsburgh. Miami is getting 3.5 points. I think you got to take What do you want to do, Jake? You're usually good. You like the running back getting one?
Yeah, the Dolphins have Devon Achane. I think he might be questionable, but if he plays, that's definitely a good pick. I think Steelers money line might be a good pick if you guys think the Steelers will win outright.
I like Steelers money line and Aaron Rodgers to throw one, and then we need one more thing.
We can do.
Paul, you don't like that because you took the Dolphins. This is what's going to be fucking hard.
No,
we got to wrap this up. Greg has a life.
I care more about my pick than the thing. That's fine. Go ahead. I'm fine with it. I'll roll with it.
All right, money line, Aaron Rodgers to throw one, and then
we'll do the Dolphins. We'll do the Dolphins running back to score one, and there you go, whatever those odds are. And here's how you know Greg Olsen was a great guest and he's a gentleman, because he talks to parents and he says, I'm going to make your kid better. You know what I would do if I was you? When the parent came to me, I go, dude, I'm fucking Greg Olsen. Get out of here. I know what I'm doing. Get out of here.
I don't know what I'm doing. That's the best part. I'm figuring it out as I go.
Yes, dude, obviously check out the website, and thank you so much for being on, dude. You were such a great guest, so insightful, and you made me really second guess all the times me and Bill text each other saying take the points. Okay, that's what we do.
Put me on the group text. We'll share thoughts. Just don't text me while I'm on air.
That's awesome. Guys, enjoy the games this week. Bet responsibly. Check me out at the Edmond Town Hall Theater this Friday night in Newtown, Connecticut. And we will see you guys. Yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
And Youth.Inc. Check that out.
And Greg.
Youth.Inc.
Greg does great stuff with for people with heart conditions as well. So really unbelievable. Wanted to shout that out before we go.
Appreciate
it, Greg.
He's an all-around great guy. All right, Greg, thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys.
This has been Anything Better. We'll see you next week. Thank you.